Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome and digital hugs to those of you coming back to my channel, and hi to everyone else who is very new. I'm Kim with Native Lady Book Warrior, and I will be discussing my bookish thoughts, likes, and loves of Laini Taylor's Days of Blood and Starlight. So, all right, let's get started. I am so glad that you all are joining me at this time. I hope you and your families are doing very well. I hope you are safe. And okay, so Visalge, sit down, let's get comfortable. So, quick snap recap. A Day of Blood and Starlight begins with Carew very much eating guilt, anger, wrath, and a side of sadness and depression for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She has discovered that her past love, Akiva, a misbegotten soldier and son of Emperor Jerome, has betrayed her. And Akiva, was the igniter of a genocidal war campaign against the Chimera. Because of Akiva's hateful vengeance against the Chimera for the execution of Madrigal or Carew, Akiva is dealing with lots of shame, guilt, and huge regret, but he is also in Eretz and witnessing the genocide of innocent and fleeing Chimera by Emperor Jerome and also Jael's armies. Carew, at this time, she meets Thiago, the white wolf, and to atone for her outlawed love and relationship with Akiva, which she believes was responsible for the genocide and murder of her people and family, including Brimstone, she begins resurrecting fallen Chimera to lead just another slaughter campaign that is vengeful and bloody against the angel or seraphim. This book very much shut me up. It was darker, more violent, and there is this whole entire cast of new and reoccurring cruel characters, intense plot events, and even the overall tone of the first half of this book. I mean, to me, it felt miserable and gloomy. And I felt like there's this big, dark, looming shadow that just overcasted the emotional hardship of both Carew and Akiva in this book. What I very much enjoyed was the new cast of characters, or just the new character development of other characters in the past book. And so they explored Haziel and Laraz's loyalty in this book and their love for their sibling Akiva, and just their overall really cool dynamic as a group in this book, and it really much melted my heart. Even their humor and the sibling affection was very well written, and even Ziri on the Chimera side was a really cool addition. His strong stance and morale and beliefs and his friendship was really cool to read about. Also, the villains, on both side, I experienced a whole new level of loathing for the villains in this book, which included Thiago, Joram, and Jael. And my disdain, seriously, my disdain for these characters were very far and wide. And I found myself first remarking, like, whoa, this dude is such a jerk, or this guy's kind of creepy. And it basically evolved to like, this guy is absolutely disgusting, and finally this guy needs to die. So let me read a passage from Jael. So this is a passage about Jael. With that, Jael of the Dominion, second most powerful seraphim in the empire, turned to go, pausing just long enough to toss a command back at Ormond. Have a woman sent to my tent, would you? And kept walking. Ormond blanched, his mouth opened, but no sound came out, and it was Akiva who rose to his feet. Laraz's words came back to him, and all the other girls that she spoken of. It occurred to him only now that his sister had given voice to a fear. Not directly she wouldn't, but now he felt that fear for her, and for all the other girls too. And not only fear, fury. We have no women here, he said, only soldiers. Jael stopped and sighed. Well, one can hardly be choosy in a battle camp. One of them will have to do. Ugh. Jael is like this crazy character in this book, and there's more to him. I mean, that's just one of the things that I had to share. I also really liked Akiva's character development in this book, and you see him seeing the seraphim under a whole new light, or a light that hasn't been explored before. So maybe he had those thoughts all along, but now they're just really getting into really what he thinks. And this is because of his love for and his time spent with Karoo. He now recognizes that even with the angels' own society and politics, that there is a lot of injustice and oppression there. And he doesn't even view himself or his misbegotten siblings as soldiers anymore. But he basically just flat out says they're basically slaves with swords. So Akiva also begins to highlight to his siblings at the conclusion, and others begin to see this too, and they join him in trying to end the Seraphim Empire's destruction and tyranny of both worlds. Mick and Zuzana also play a really important part in this book with helping Karoo get out of that dark state that she's in. And in my opinion, friendship is very magical and powerful. And for me, my sister very much fills that role. And her honesty and her compassion, even if it's her kicking me in the butt with some very needed brutal truth, it feels like when you have friendship like that and you feel like you're coming up for air when you're drowning, and you don't even realize that you're drowning in a situation or in a certain state until they show you. And I feel like Mick and Zuzana's friendship is so strong that they initiate Karoo's healing, and they gain strength. They gain strength in helping her gain strength by giving her what she needs, like honesty and compassion, perspective, and humor. Very much needed humor. And that happened slowly, but I feel they were a really integral part in Karoo moving on from that state she's in. The plot in this book heavily circles around war and even the dark realities that are possible in the violence and the brutality of it. But this book also takes a very small peek at what it's like to be oppressed, that the desperation of oppressed peoples can turn to anger, vengeful retaliation. It could be violent, it could be unforgiving acts, and ultimately it could change a person, it could change a people's. And obviously that carnage and cruelty is unforgivable, but you can only push a people so far before they become desperate, and they may even use the violence that has been used against them to and enact that violence upon others. The time leaps and the cliffhangers and the plot discoveries and even the perspective shifts in this book felt like I was learning how to drive stick shift again for the very first time. So, yep, I learned how to drive a car first in stick shift. So I don't even know if they still make cars in in stick shift anymore. But oh man, I feel old, but I learned how to drive on a stick shift, and Laini Taylor absolutely brought me back there. Like, first gear. Oh, perspective shift. Oh, okay, plot discovery. All right, conk out. Cliffhanger. All right, first gear. Second gear. Third gear. Vroom, vroom. Perspective shift. Turn right. Ah, conk out. For real, that's seriously how I felt. There were two very devastating parts in this book for me, and the first one was the death of Haziel. Oh my gosh. There's a part in this book where the siblings, so Laraz, Haziel, and Akiva decide that they need to kill Joram, who is the emperor of the Seraphim Empire. And so they make out this whole entire plan, but of course that plan just basically, it is a total failure. And I mean, they eventually do kill Jerome, but they get entangled in this whole other web of deception by his brother Jael. Unfortunately, that failure, it results in Haziel's death. And because he is trying to protect Laraz, then you get a little bit of hope. And me, I was very hopeful because Akiva and Laraz, they fly to where Karu is at in hopes that he can be resurrected. But when they get there and Karu takes a look at him, she doesn't feel his soul, and Akiva and Laraz are totally devastated, and I seriously ugly cried because Haziel was one of my favorite characters in this whole book. He was funny. He had such a good heart. He saw things on a very positive note all the time, and he would have done anything to protect his siblings just like they would have done anything to protect him. One of my favorite parts in this book is to see Karu building herself and regaining her strength and seeing the world through a different lens without the grief and the shame that she's feeling. And there is this passage that can explain it better than I can. So let me find it. No, she said again, I would not have us bare our throats, nor would I have you thrust our people to their knees in your rush to slaughter theirs, nor would I have you leave our future buried under ash, so that you might bury theirs. Carew went on. Brimstone once told me that to stay true in the face of evil is the feat of strength. If we let them turn us into monsters, someone has to stop the killing, she implored Thiago. Someone has to stop first. Yep, that's very cool. Sorry, it was such a long passage, but that part, I think I could probably read that entire chapter, was really cool and empowering. And then what I did not like was in this book was her gaining that realization and that strength. And then she gets knocked down again by Thiago, in a very, very violent and horrifying attempted rape. And the detail in that scene, I feel, could have triggered anyone, and that chapter is 71, The Pit. I tell you all that you are good to skip that chapter if you decide not to read it, because I think that scene is implied and hinted at in the next chapter that it happened. And I know the author was probably trying to show that because sexual violence and sexual assault is very much all about power and control. So I think she was trying to display that is truly what Thiago valued and what he respected, and he used another form of violence on Carew to show that. But even though that was a part of Thiago, maybe us trying to envision that. But for me, I didn't see that. I saw just a powerful person sticking up for what is right. I saw her coming into her own and then getting punished very violently for speaking out. So I know that the author was probably had entirely different intentions in that part, but I didn't automatically go there. I thought like, wow, she's being punished for being strong, and I that didn't sit well with me at all. But this book was fairly good. I mean, and the writing in this book is very beautiful. The characters are very awesome, and Laini Taylor really steps it up and villainy in this book, but she also brings us that almost that balance in the good natured characters on the other side, both Chimera and Angel. So I thought that was pretty good. So, yay! I am very done with this review, or not review, I'm very done with this discussion. This book is pretty cool. I'm probably going to be moving on to Dreams of Gods and Monsters. I don't know if I'm going to review that. Maybe I'll just review it in like, I don't know, like reads that I read for the month of August or September or whatever. So, yay, I am done. So, all of you, I wish for you all to be very, very safe. I hope your families are doing safe. I hope you guys are doing well. And I just would like to say thank you for stopping by. I shall see you all soon. And yeah, so have a good night, have a good day, and have a good morning. Bye.